All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. So what I ended up doing, I went ahead and rebuilt this carburetor. Sorry for not bringing you guys along with that, but it was late when I started on this, and I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, the next morning, to go to the job that actually pays our bills. So don't get me wrong, I'd like for this to pay my bills, and maybe it will someday, maybe it won't, but anyway, I had to get up early, so I just went ahead and tackled it and didn't have time to go messing around with cameras and tripods and all that fun stuff. So I do want to do one of these on camera for you guys, because like with this old Ford Motorcraft carburetor, you know, these are pretty good carburetors, but it was filthy dirty, and you could see like around this accelerator pump cover right here and around the power valve cover, there was a ton of that old Indian head shellac, that brown stuff that you put on with a little dauber ball. They don't call it Indian head anymore. It's not politically correct, but it's Permatex, some kind of part number, I can't remember, some kind of sealant they call it. But anyway, it's a brown shellac sealant, and they had been trying to stop a leak. Well, what I found about this was this cover and this cover, when I took them off, see, I'm a tool and die maker, so I noticed things that some people might not notice, and each 4 of these mounting points right here, from the factory, I guess they torqued those down or whatever. I don't know when they when they mold this, I guess it's a pot metal magnesium. It's a casting. When they cast it, I don't know if they cool it too fast or what, but between this hole and this hole and that one all the way around, it was bowed. So if that's bowed, there's a flat surface on the carburetor. The carburetor surface was real flat, and the gasket is flat, and it needs a flat surface on this too. So it was just tightening down. When I hit this on a big flat stone, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's right here. This is about 200 grit on one side, and I believe it's about 320 on the other, or maybe 400, I don't know. It's all rubbed off of it now, but anyway, so you take this cap and lay it down this way on this flat stone and rub it, and you can see a witness mark where it rubbed where the high spot was, and it was right on these corners here where each one of these screw holes is, and it was touching nowhere in the middle. So I went to put some oil on this stone here, this flat stone, and it's just what I've done. I've pushed one of those stones thousands of miles in my career as a tool maker, and you just keep rubbing it, holding it flat, and rubbing it. You want to rub it this way, push it this way on the stone, and then push it this way on the stone. And that's called cross stoning. And what that does is, if there's an imperfection in the stone, that keeps you from making a hole or making it too thin on one side or taking too much off. You keep it flat that way. If you go this way, it's a crosshatch pattern, like what's in your cylinder walls. That's why when they run your hone in your cylinder walls, they run it up and down as it's spinning, so that it doesn't so it makes it even from the top to the bottom of the cylinder. And that's why you see those cross hatch marks in the cylinder walls. So anyway, it's the same principle. So what you do is you keep stoning that until these parts in the middle between the screw holes, they'll just come together until they touch, and then it'll be all the way around. And when that's done, that's flat. So I screwed that on. This one here was even worse. The power valve cover was even worse than that. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. I'll even take a stone here, like on this flat mounting surface here, and I'll run that. I ran a smaller one than this, but run it all over this whole thing. You can use a flat file to do that too, but you just want to, and it takes all the little burrs and high casting marks and dirt and any gasket that's stuck on there, and it gets it off, and it makes that real flat. Make a real good sealing surface to your gasket that way. And see that? You see some shiny spots on there? That's really pretty flat. I just knocked the high spots off of it. Then you want to blow that off of there. I did the same thing on the float bowl mounting gasket surface where the horn bolts onto the float bowl. I stoned the carburetor top float bowl. There was some little burrs on there, and they don't care about that stuff when they make them from the factory, because this gasket, you know, this gasket's about 60 thousandths thick, and they figure if you've got there's a tolerance on those casting burrs, flash they call it. There's a tolerance on those, and if you know your gasket's 60 thousandths, and then they tell you, hey, that can be plus or minus 5 thousandths or plus or minus 10 thousandths, if they just let it go because they know that gasket's going to absorb it. That's not good enough for me. I want it to be flat, so I always stone everything flat. Where I work, they call me Stonehenge because I'm always stoning on stuff. But I wholeheartedly believe in these. I mean, I'll use these things for everything. You're putting your oil filter on. There's, you know, where your rubber seal seals up to, you know, that's why there's a big rubber seal on there, because same thing. They don't try to make that perfect. Well, I'll get up in there with a small hard stone, flat stone, and go all the way around that and stone that flat and make that look real nice and flat and clean and pretty, and it'll seal up real good. My ways on my mill and my lathe, you know, I hit those with the stone just to keep them good and clean, and just everything. I mean, you could, your cylinder head decks, the little the china wall at the both ends of your intake manifold, your seats for your valve cover gaskets where they bolt on. You know, you can hit all that stuff with a flat file or a good hard flat stone and just work at it, and you can watch those shiny spots. And there's even layout fluid you can put on there to mark, you know, you put layout fluid on there, or take a good Sharpie marker, a wide Sharpie marker, and cover that, and then hit it with the stone or the file, and wherever it's shiny again, that's the high spot. You just keep working on that and just keep holding your stone flat. That's very important. Make sure your stone's flat, because you can roll the edges off and cause another problem. But it takes a lot of practice. I've been doing this for about almost 30 years. I've been a tool maker, so I went through my apprenticeship. It's one of the very most basic things I learned is oil stoning, and so anyway, it's a real helpful tool. I encourage you guys to really look it up, look up other videos. I'll have some videos on here showing flat bottoming things and stuff, you know, just stuff like that. But anyway, we're going to put this on. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get up in there with a little vacuum, and I'm going to vacuum out a lot of this crap that's up on top of this intake manifold that was carried up there by squirrels and mice and chipmunks and I don't know, whatever. So clean all that up. I'm going to scrape the old gasket off of there, put the new gasket on. I'm going to there's a riser plate. There's a 1-inch aluminum riser plate that I'm going to use my hard flat stone on, stone both sides of that. Clean everything a little bit with some carburetor cleaner. Put this carburetor on and see how good we did. Okay, so I've got those all cleaned up, stoned, where they'll have a good seal. Got my base gasket. This thin one here goes between the riser plate and the intake manifold. So I'm going to stick that on there. It's got a little hole. It's got a couple holes in it, actually. I'll show you. 3 holes. You know, these 2 here and that one. That's for a different application. There's nothing for these to mount up to mate to on this intake manifold or this carburetor or riser plate. They just make them universal for a lot of different motorcraft carburetors. So those will just be blind. It won't do anything. And we'll check our mounting surface of our riser plate one more time. Just kind of go over it. The best way to remove lint and debris is to really wipe it with your bare hand, but if you wipe this, then wipe it on your sleeve with your glove. If you use your bare hand, the oil in your skin will pick up any lint or anything. Wipe it on your sleeve, and then it's as clean as it can get, really. We'll pop this down on there, just like that. And the same thing. We'll just wipe it. Wipe it on our sleeve. And here's a little spot there. Got that off. That is flat and smooth and clean. All right. Now we need our thicker gasket. Mounting carburetor mounting gasket. Oh, wait a minute. See, I always miss that. It's got to tear off. Guys just like to cut stuff. I don't know. Anyway. And this is made so it only go on one way. You can see this longer bosses stick out than up here. If you put it on backwards, these holes won't line up. So that's how you know you got it on right. It's just now flip it over either way. It doesn't matter about that, but front to back it does. And that's on there. Everything's lined up, gelling good. All right, gelling like a felon. All right, next thing we do, I've already flattened that. Stick our carburetor on there. And a whole lot of thread sticking up out of those studs, but it'll compress and seal as I'm tightening it down. Hopefully I can get them started anyway. So don't want to knock your big flat stone off on the ground because it will shatter. Got my 4 carburetor mounting nuts. These are special nuts. They're a fine thread, quarter 28. Standard thread, coarse thread on a 1/4 inch screw is a 20 threads per inch. That'd be a coarse thread. This is a 28, is fine thread. Well, that started on there. I think they will start, and then what we'll do is we'll go around in sequence. It's a crisscross pattern. Tighten up a little bit at a time. That way we don't end up stripping out the nut or the bolt or breaking our base plate on our carburetor, because then it won't be any good anymore. All right. Now, leave a ratchet out of this for right now. You stay out of this ratchet. Just tighten her down with the old nut driver first. The other one had washers on it and everything. It was the same thickness. I guess we just gotta keep going around it. worst case scenario, I'll just put the other thin gasket on there that I've got. I'd have to get an old swivel socket for that one in the back. Maybe that one in the front too. The old accelerator pump rod. Get our ratchet on there. I'm sure there's a specified amount of torque that goes on those, but I'm sure that's just a suggestion. That's about right. It's about 11 foot-pounds. Right? 132 inch-pounds. Okay, now let's see what we got next. I'll go ahead and put this fuel line on there. Tighten that down. That fuel filter, just so you know, not showing anywhere online that I could find because it's got a 1/2-20 thread on it. The one that came out was a 1/2-20 thread. The one that they give you is a Napa is a 3046, and it's got a 1/8-27 NPT thread on it. You have to have an adapter, which I did order an adapter, but it wouldn't be here quick enough. But they did find this is a 3045, has the 1/2-20 thread in case anybody needs to know what you have to get. Go to Napa, ask for a 3045 filter, and that's what you'll get. Let's put our throttle linkage, get that hooked back up. Well, some of this just looks, you can see some kind of cobbled up welds back there. This stuff's been modified, and I'm okay with modifying. I modify stuff all the time. As long as it works and doesn't bind up. We don't want our gas, our throttle, you know, binding up, especially wide open. That's always a bad thing. Gonna grab my wrench to tighten that up with here in a second. First thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and hook up my choke, because this is the choke of the manual variety, which I like very much. Electric chokes are good. All that, they're fine. I don't want to be hating on electric chokes, you know. I do like a good old manual choke. Just move that choke all the way open, because my choke lever in there, if I remember correctly, is pushed all the way in. And then tighten up our clamp. Using this screwdriver because I couldn't find the big one. bit of lubrication on that swivel for the choke. I'm not going to hook up. It's got cruise control, and by cruise control I mean a throttle lever that is used to increase the RPM of the engine slightly to make the winch work faster whenever you're picking up or letting down a car. I didn't like the way that was hooked up, so I'm not going to hook that back up just yet. I'm going to have to fix that. So I'm just going to leave that off of there for the time being. All right, all I got to do is put a couple of springs on. The old return springs. I wonder if these will work together. Oh, let's see. I don't like the way that's hooked up either. That's kind of wonky. That gas pedal didn't have a whole lot of pressure on it, and that's why, because the way this is. Right, like that. We'll have to take that off and work on that there too. But in the meantime, I'm going to hook this up. A little bit better than it was. Vacuum advance hose back on. Let's see here. Now, one thing I do want to do before I start cranking this is change the canister filter on the fuel pump. Yes, boys and girls, this truck has a canister filter in the fuel pump, and the previous owner apparently had done some work on this trying to get it running. They replaced the fuel pump. Looks like the cap and rotor, I took them off. They look new. The points and condenser look new. I don't know if the plugs are new or not. The plug wires don't look new, but they are all firing. So this here canister filter is what I'm going to change next. Let's see if we can get under there and get that off. Well, we're under here. I don't know if you can see, but right there, that's the fuel pump, and that's the canister that houses the fuel filter. I'll bet it is nasty. So let's see if we can get that off of there. I'm not sure how much oomph I'm going to have to put on that to get it off, but we shall see. I may have to get me a little oil filter wrench. It's the smallest oil filter wrench I've got. I don't think it's gonna fit. No, well, it might. Oh, come on. Nope. Not want to hold. Wondering. Put this rag up around it. Make a little space. did not turn. Well, for right now, I'm gonna leave that because I may need to take that fuel pump off. It'll ding that canister a little bit right there with the wrench. I don't know why that's so tight. Well, I'm just gonna leave that for now. We've got our little fuel filter. We may be able to see if it actually will start and run with the new carburetor adjustment or rebuild. Got to burn all that. The right thing to do would be to drain all that old turpentine varnish out of the fuel tank. But I've already put like 10 gallons of really good 90 octane in it. I don't want to lose that. Alright. So I've got some of that good gas in this old Berryman can here. And I'm going to dump some of this, try to dump some of this down the vent tubes. Yep. How about we just dump some down the carburetor? Now, there's our old vacuum up there. That's alcohol-free gas, so I like that. Because I buy it by a 55-gallon drum, and then it don't go bad like this stuff with methanol in it does. It corrodes everything because it's a hydroscopic. Actually, the stuff you buy out of the gas station will draw moisture to it, and you'll get water, and it'll just corrode everything. So anything that I don't drive every day, I use alcohol-free recreational fuel. All right. Let's see if it'll fire off a little bit. Yeah. Sounds good. I'm gonna pull the choke, crank it a little bit. It's filling the filter bowl. See any leaks yet? Squirt some more of this in there. Might have to do that a few times. And this time when I do it, I'll pull the choke. Maybe it'll suck some in there. Like it tried to. Might be on to something. Try that again. folks. Alright, now I'll let the choke all the way off. I didn't get around there in time to do it by hand. Yep. might not have enough adjustment on my idle air mixture screws. Much air. I'm gonna run these in a little bit. I can see it. Not good. Barely. Turned them in a half a turn, but it wasn't right. I'll come back out, see that half out, and then see another half. And no, before you ask, I do not play poker. I am not good at it, and I am not interested enough. I could get good at it, but I'm not interested enough in it to learn to get good at it. You know, I got buddies from church that invite me over every Tuesday to play poker. I'm like, I don't want to give you my money. See, that's the thing. Let's invite these new guys over. They're good guys. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not, they're good guys. But it's just a funny thing that guys do to each other. With the arm guillotine here. Well, it sounds pretty good. Far so good. Vacuum gauge on it. See if we're going vacuum. Vacuum gauge on it here a little bit. See what I get with those idle air mixture screws. low. Bend the tab on the floor itself, make it shut the fuel flow off at different places. So the choke cable and throttle lock cable down a little bit with some penetrating oil. Everything else under it, behind it. That's alright. Some trucks will end up getting a whole bad. What do y'all think? I think I ought to, I'm going to replace all the rusty stuff, the inner fenders, all the structural stuff, floor paint. I said all that, but I think I ought to leave the outside of it looking the way it is, or fix it up real nice. Little comments in there, let me know what you think. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't mean I'm going to do what you say, but I'm interested, and I can be persuaded. Change my mind sometimes. See if I can turn that choke off now that I'm back on the cruise out there. exhaust manifold gasket issue. That's always fun to me because usually break off at the cylinder heads. Gotta drill them out. Sometimes you get lucky. I have heated them up with a torch and got them all out before. We'll see if we can get that lucky. Right now, this is really all we're doing this right now. So we'll get back on the station wagon, try to get that car going. That fuel filter and that fuel pump causing that, because I pulled all the fuel away, dropped the float level a little bit, and couldn't recover fast enough. That's probably caused that. We'll have to change that canister. Try to get that off of there without tearing it up. I don't know why that's so tight. It's brand new. It's new. It's clean. See, whenever I rev it up and a little puff coming out of there, blow by. Coming past the rings the wrong way. Not bad. Not bad though. It's a little bit, but not bad. But this thing hadn't run a long time. I'm gonna change the oil in it. Radiator hose, so I know it's circulating good. Kind of heating the carburetor. It is running way better than it was, for sure. Needs a little fine tuning. We'll let it run for a while. Come back on this another time. There you have it, folks. 71 F350, 360 rebuilt carburetor.